Hello and welcome to episode 77 of When the Flames Go Up, the ATFC podcast. We are in the midst of the worst run in a while. So, forgive us if we try to find a little bit of positivity out there. There's not much going around. But if you can, to be honest, if you find any positives, let us know. It's really hard to not just read out grim stats that make it look like we are absolutely going to get relegated. So there's that as a precursor to tonight. On the record, we had Julian, CJ, and Guy to discuss Rochdale away at the weekend, and then look ahead to Woking at home in I guess as always seems to be the case, a big occasion. This time for all the wrong reasons, because we're 6 league defeats in a row. Enjoy the episode as much as you can, and try to enjoy the weekend as much as you can, the 12:30 kickoff and all the nervous energy that it brings. As always, up the shots. So the shots, as we record, are 22nd in the National League, a defeat away to Rochdale. A narrow 1-0. Harvey Gilmore goal set up by Adebayo Rowling was enough to get the 3 points for Rochdale. Morecambe are playing tonight as we record, so they may well leapfrog the shots with a draw or a win over Brooklyn Town. Obviously, it's grim reading. I read out a load of stats last week of how many defeats in a row, and 1-goal defeats, another 1-goal defeat in a row, to make that 4 of John Coleman's first 4 games, all by 1 goal, all defeats. 6 league defeats in a row for the Shots this season. It matches their worst streak in, I believe, ATFC history. I didn't go back all the way, but don't think we even got 6 defeats in some of the seasons in the early 90s. 2012-13, if anyone remembers that season. Don't know what happened there. We did lose 6 in a row. We only scored in one of those games. I think we lost 3-2 to Torquay in that streak. The rest of them were to 0. Worst losing streak in 13 years. We've done 5 a few times: 2021-22, 15-16, 14-15. And we'll come on to the 14-15 season later when we come on to the Woking preview. But defeat to Woking would set a new club record, I believe. ATFC record for most league defeats in a row. Not ideal for us looking ahead to Woking at the weekend, but we'll try and find some positives. Raheem Shackelford made his debut at left back after joining on a permanent deal from Chesterfield. That came just after we recorded, the day after we recorded last week, and generally a promising-ish performance considering we're playing against one of the top teams in the division. And probably a side that should have put a couple more past us. Manny Diaz-Saruvi with a couple of chances, but the shots did make them kind of wobble a little bit in there. I'm going to come to you first, Guy. Your thoughts in general on this run, and any positives to take away from the defeat?
Well, it's pretty bleak viewing, isn't it, Will? I mean, I know you said it was 6 league defeats, but you've also got, you've got to throw in the FA Cup one as well, so it's really 7 defeats in a row. Let me just say something about the Rochdale game. So we were a bit tighter. I mean, we now seem to be playing with 4 at the back, which is, I suppose, making things a little bit tighter, but we're also not really creating a lot of chances up at the other end either. Even though we've lost 7 games, they've not been sort of the chaotic, concede 3 and then score 2 like we were doing under Widrington. We're just losing by the odd goal, whether it's 1-0, 2-1. Not ideal, but in a way, it's progress. I'm trying to look for the optimistic here. That said, looking at, we do seem to be playing with a back 4, and it's starting to become a little bit, more solid, although there are some weaknesses. So for example, the Rochdale goal, that was really when you saw the Rochdale players playing moving forward from the center of the pitch, and playing it out to the right, and our new signing Shackelford really wasn't picking that up. So then by the time the ball went out to the right, he was chasing back, the cross came over, and it was relatively easy for Rochdale. So it was a defensive error. We've had a couple of these kind of lapses over the last few games. Looking at us going forward, I saw Ryan Hill was putting a couple of good sort of crossfield crosses in, but just nothing. We seem to sort of be missing on the end of it. I mean, I noticed, for example, Jones, the ball was just sort of maybe a yard ahead of him. He wasn't able to control it. Hargreaves, was given I wouldn't say it was a clear-cut chance in the first half, but he had a half opportunity, and maybe with a bit more confidence, he might have actually struck it, cleanly, first time, or sort of gone around, gone around a player. And I think maybe that's and I think also in the second half, Hadi Gandor as well. He sort of, there was a crossover, sort of a lob over, and he sort of just wasn't able to get to the ball in time. He sort of collapsed into the goalkeeper. Thomas coming up as well sort of failed there. And it just seems to me that up at the top, we're just not making those chances, or when those chances are coming, they're half chances. And maybe with the way things are going, with the form that we're under, there's a lack of confidence in the squad. I mean, I know we'll probably come to talking about, Josh Barrett, and whether, with him back in the squad, whether those half chances would have become more full chances. With the way we're currently playing, with the morale as I suspect it probably is, that's debatable. I'd be curious to hear what others have to say about it. So I really didn't feel we were going to, once we went 1-0 down, I really didn't think we were going to get back into it. And that's really been kind of the general feel, since over the last 2 months, really. The goals have dried up. And also, but on the other hand, we're not as leaky as we were at the back. So we've gone from, free flowing, giving away goals front and giving away goals at the back and scoring, to just losing by the odd goal. It's not great. I'm trying to look for positives. Maybe we can talk about that when we start talking about Woking and Eastleigh.
Great. Yes. Yeah. We'll hopefully get on some more positive things. I've just noticed in my notes that I had a look at whether we were on track to surpass our worst season losses wise. So our worst season ever as Aldershot Town was 1936-37, where we lost 26 games in a season, which is crazy. I think we lost 24 in the reprieve year. I think that was that 18-19? Not sure. So yeah, 12 losses out of 19 would put us on track to get around 27 defeats over a 46 game season. Obviously that doesn't take into account how many teams are in that league, but just we're technically on track. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there because didn't want to do that research without sharing it. Julian, I'll come to you. Your thoughts on Rochdale away?
Hi, Will. Where do I start? Rochdale away. So yeah, there's two sides to the coin, isn't there? And for me, there's some green shoots there. We as Guy said, we're not losing by many, and indeed, the last 4 games have only been the single goal. But I think I said it a few weeks ago. We're going to get no points for playing well. You don't get points for playing well, and you certainly don't get points for impressing the opposition's fans. And that's been happening quite a lot recently, but you get no points for it. So we have to find a way of winning games. I think the main thing that has come to light, particularly over the last few weeks, is that those games earlier on in the year where you lost to Altrincham 3-2 on the opening day of the season. We didn't know at the time whether that was against a really good playoff team or whether that was against a relegation threatened team. And we would have been saying at that stage, who knows? Time will tell it's whether or not that was a bad result or a half decent result. And then you get results like Braintree at home, Tamworth, all those sorts of games. They're the teams that we should have taken points off. And for me, the league table does not lie. It doesn't lie. We haven't won enough games. 3 games all season is criminal, and we've got to find ways to win games. And for me, it starts on Saturday. No more excuses, no more we've got players injured, we're waiting for them to come back. Again, you don't get any points for having players on the injury table, do you? So we've got to work with what we've got. And I was just thinking of Tamworth before we went on the call. They found a way of beating Boreham Wood at their place at the weekend. We didn't. So it's all very nice saying, oh yeah, we played really well and we lost by the off goal, but that's why we're down the bottom, because we're not picking up points when others are. Positive signs for me, I think the 2 signings, Inwood and Shackelford, are good signings. So they will undoubtedly strengthen the team, and Shackelford looks really useful. His Chesterfield supporters there was something like 100 good luck messages. When Theo leaves us, I don't think he's going to get 1, let alone 100. So sorry if you're listening, Theo. But I think that's a positive sign. Those 2 are good signings. I like Gilligan in midfield. We are obviously short up top. We've got Thomas and Gandor. But if you're playing with a 4-2-3-1, then for me, those 3 just behind the main man need to be scoring goals and assisting as well. And for me at the moment, as much as I enjoy watching Ryan Jones play and Ryan Hill, they aren't producing enough at the moment to actually warrant a place. I think they're the best of what we've got, but actually, are they scoring goals? Are they assisting enough? And I think the answer is no. So yeah, can't wait for Josh Barrett to come back, but I think we need to just be a little bit wary that he isn't the answer to all our prayers at the moment. So he will have to produce, because soapbox now. Josh hasn't produced the same level of performances as he did last season, and for whatever reason that is, again, we need him to step up now. This is when we need him to step up, and I'm hoping he'll be back for Saturday. Not sure if he will, but I don't know. And then just finally, the midfield 2 in this new formation, they're much more of a holding role now. So again, they're unlikely to be helping up top. It's going to be more of the sort of 6 at the back and the 4 up front. So that, for me, again, puts even more onto the Ryan Jones and the Ryan Hills of this world to start creating and producing. And that's where I think we need, and those left backs and right backs, again, I mentioned those, with a flat back 4, I think they will be used a little bit more in transition, so that when we have got the ball, then I'd be expecting those 2 probably to just push up a little bit and support the 2 midfielders. But I'm not sure if I've answered your question, Will, actually. But for me, there are some shoots of positiveness there, but the excuses have to stop now. This is the time to deliver, and it's that old saying for me that the season definitely does start now.
Absolutely, yeah. Lots of questions for John Coleman to answer. Jones and Hill. I guess I've been thinking it for weeks. Like, we just need to see them both bombing down, getting balls in, and creating. But yeah, it's going to fall on their shoulders as well to score goals. And that has dried up. Especially for Hill. I mean, Hill's probably got a chance of being our top goal scorer over the course of the season, I think, if he takes a couple more penalties and is playing in a more attacking role, which I don't want him to be. I want our central striker to be our top goal scorer, but we shall see. CJ, finally, I'll come to you. Your thoughts on Rochdale away?
Yeah, it's interesting hearing the guys talk. So, like any manager, when they go into a new environment, the first thing they try and always do is solidify the back line. Now, ours needed it because, like the guys were saying, you can't ship 2-3 goals in and try and win games every week because it's the hardest thing in the world. Under Tommy, we always had that idea that we were always going to try and win. Like there was always that we go 2-0 down, we'll win 3-2. It was that Gary Waddock methodology of we'll just try and outscore teams. Now, under Coleman, he's solidified us at the back and we got more balance to the team. But are we as balanced going forwards as we are going backwards now? Because right now we got one striker and players running off him, but nothing's being created. Like, we had balls going in the box. Did we have enough balls going in the box? Probably not. I think John Coleman mentioned it in the interview after the game that with 15, 20 minutes to go, there just wasn't enough in the box when we were almost on the front foot as such. Ryan Hill, like, you got to think as well. Last season, Barrett was creating for Barham and he was creating for everyone else. He had runners running in behind. This year, we've got nothing, like absolutely nothing. We've got Kwame trying to hold the ball up and set 3 players behind him, and the players just aren't getting enough around him quick enough and stuff like that. Barrett, the one beauty of him is that he just occupies the middle of the pitch. Or wherever he goes, he occupies the other team. If you watch the Dorking documentary and they talk about it and they go man for man with him, and he's the biggest threat. And I know firsthand that other clubs set up like that as well when he's on the pitch. So what that does then frees up your Ryan Joneses and Ryan Hills and stuff to have a bit more freedom and to create things and make things happen. Now, the depressing thing for us is obviously if Kwame Thomas comes off, what's our other option? It's Hadi Gandor. And Hadi Gandor's probably scored about a handful of goals in like the 3-4 years he's been here. And he does one good thing, and all of a sudden he's going to be the next best striker at Aldershot, and then we don't see him for 6 games because he's just running around the pitch trying to press the ball and doesn't really do anything. So yeah, I think that's the hardest part. I think the fullback area was one area we needed to sort out and fix. We kind of sorted that now. Obviously Archie Taylor was brought in to be a squad player. I think Douse mentioned that when he took over, that Archie Taylor wasn't brought in to be an immediate starter. So the fact that Shackelford's come in now, he looked okay. Like he was steady, he was comfortable. Like you could see he was experienced at that level and didn't really put a foot wrong. I look at the Rochdale goal that they scored, and it was really interesting to see the back 4 and how compact they were. So they were only the width of the 18-yard box at one point, and then the ball shifted wide. And then they all shifted across together. They just didn't get across quick enough. And it's interesting whether that's something that we're working on in training, because I've noticed it a few times now in matches that the back 4 are really tight and compact. And what that does then is obviously it takes the space away from the middle of the pitch, but then obviously frees up wide spaces. So if teams are going to beat us, they'll get round and go in behind. And that's pretty much what's happened. Inwood looks good. Again, quite young, but he looks okay. It's so I think once he's back in, he'll be left back, Shackelford right back, Nightingale centre half, and then you have obviously Jackson, Armitage, and Claridge and Penman trying to fight for that one spot. But we just aren't scoring goals, and I was hoping that the Basingstoke game would be a bit of an opportunity for confidence to come back, and all of it's done. It's just sapped it out again. Like and then obviously with the whole Tristan Abraham situation, like there needs to be some clarity around that with him falling out with supporters and stuff on the day. Where's he now? Like what? Like we're in limbo again with players. But Barrett, I think coming back will be a big boost. I'm hoping he like Julian said, he's back this weekend, because he lifts the environment. Just by little touches, like little things he does, will lift the East Bank. Just him being there will lift the environment up. And is he the answer? Maybe, maybe not. But we need something different. And it's clear to see that since he's come out the team, we haven't been creating and scoring enough. It's as simple as that. Since he's come out the team, and whether that's obviously the Tommy Widrington effect or whether that's the Coleman effect or whatever, but since he hasn't been around, we have opportunities have dried up. So hopefully he comes back and lifts the spirits and hopefully a bit of energy. It was interesting that John Coleman mentioned Theo Widrington as well in the post-match. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of role Theo plays in going forwards, whether that was just a mention because he's an injured player coming back, or whether that's someone he's looking at to go back into the midfield quite quickly as a leader. Because that's what we need at the moment. Like I think Nightingale was very good on the weekend. other than the one moment where he covered Archie Taylor at right back and the lad stuck it through his legs and beat him. But I think other than that, I think John Coleman was right. Nightingale was probably one of the better players on the pitch that night. And yeah, I think that like the positives is we're a more balanced team. And like Julian said, it means absolutely nothing if other clubs are giving us all this credit and you're the best team we've seen this season. Brilliant. We're second bottom going to the National League South. I don't want to be that team. I'd rather one go off the backside of Thomas and we win 1-0 than be the best team in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like we could have 80% possession. It means absolutely nothing if the scoreboard isn't in our favour.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's been, well, it will be 2 months since we last tasted victory in the league. By the time Woking come to town on Saturday. So we'll move on to talking about that. We've alluded to it throughout because it is this big cloud in the distance of Woking at home. Obviously not on Boxing Day this year, but still a 12:30 kickoff. First positive, as I alluded to earlier, the 5-game losing streak that we were on in 2014-15. It was broken by winning 2-1 away at Woking. Andre McCollin. What a throwback. And Brett Williams with the goals that day. Less positive. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the FA Trophy semi-final preview, but we haven't been Woking at home in the league since 2020, which was a 3-0 win, or with fans since Boxing Day 2017, which blew my mind. We're pretty good at Kingfield, but actually beating Woking, we can draw, but we're not very good at beating them at home in the league. So in contrast to Shot's form, which has seen them not win since September, Woking haven't lost since September. It was a 1-0 defeat away to Boreham Wood. In that time, they've had 3 wins out of those 7 and drawn the remaining. The FA Trophy semi-final, of course, was in April, the start of all our lives before the FA Trophy final. Jaskalainen, Beautyman, Odesina, Hines and Akinola all played in that semi-final. They're still with Woking. There may be a couple others, but just looking at the last lineup, obviously Harry Beautyman, what a return for him after his disgusting elbow of Theo Widrington and subsequent red card. He is the current top goal scorer with 4 goals this season. And yes, we mentioned a big mention for Josh Barrett, and fingers crossed that he does come back because, yeah, the last game at the Rec was Boxing Day, and he scored that magical free kick into the top bins to make it 2-2. And I thought for all of my life that we were going to come back and actually score that goal. But I'm glad we didn't that day because Jack Barham's goal in April was enough to see us through to Wembley. Then Woking did then go and beat us comfortably at home a couple of weeks later, which was less good when we were in. It seemed like holiday mode now that we can look back on it. Well, where do we start? Guy, I'll come to you. I put a question down here. Who can be the difference maker for the Shots? I mean, we've kind of said that we need Josh Barrett back and he is a difference maker. So that maybe that's a silly question, but your general thoughts ahead of Woking.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one. I mean, if you remember, I think it was after Widrington left, CJ said that we would really aim to try and get 4 points, 7, from the 7 games before Woking. Well, we've ended up with nothing, so we really have to get something this time round. And actually, I really think it's going to be hard for us. I mean, you mentioned Woking's form this season, but just looking more at their sort of the last 5 games, I mean, they've won 2 and they've drawn 3, no losses. They're scoring about a goal a game and they're conceding just under half a goal a game on average. So it's going to be difficult. The defense is going to be pretty sort of tight for us to be able to overrun. If there's going to be any kind of chances whatsoever, I think we're probably going to be having to look at set pieces, given that sort of our open play doesn't seem to be firing at the moment. CJ's talked about it in with regards to sort of Jones and Hill and others. I think in terms of sort of who people, you mentioned Harry Buterman, but also from the Woking end, a couple of players that we should be watching out for, and I'm sure that we'll be talking about in the squad preparation. A couple of sort of forwards and midfielders who they've got, like Joshua Oluwele, Josh Kelly and Jamie Andrews. They seem to be amongst the most sort of efficient players in the Woking squads this season in terms of sort of goals and assists for the amount of minutes played. So those would be ones that we need to keep an eye out for. They're pretty solid at the back. They don't really, from what I can tell, the defenders don't really sort of get forward enough to cause sort of threats in the opposition goal. So much of the sort of the attacking threat's going to come through midfield and the forward line. So for us, it's going to be a challenge going up against a defense which is pretty solid, pretty compact, and been pretty tight recently. But this is if you can't get yourself up for this particular game, which is our derby, then what's the point?
Absolutely, yeah. It's one where I bought my ticket last week, knowing that a defeat at Rochdale would make me so unmotivated to go and watch Aldershot, just because I feel like when you're in a slightly negative frame of mind, it does seem like it's just going to be a defeat. Obviously, my mood will change by the time we get to 12 o'clock on Saturday, but yes, definitely. Get these players have got to get up for it, and that's why the Josh Barrett factor could be even more important this Saturday. I feel if we can get even 20 minutes out of him, just something to lift what is otherwise going to be a horrible day out. I think. I mean, even if we win, it'll be horrible. I think that's a 1-0 win will feel stressful and horrible. So,
well, at least you're getting into the pub quickly.
That's it. Yeah. Straight in to watch Gillette Soccer Saturday and see teams competently score goals. Julian, I'll come to you. How are you feeling ahead of Saturday?
Well, Will, guy's smiling. He knows how I feel. I'm up for this one. I think we're going to get a result. But no, all joking aside, I think there is a chance of us getting a victory here. I honestly do. If you think of the Forest Green game, which ended up reasonably close at the end, but John Coleman pretty much summed it up. It's the mistakes that are costing us the problems, and I think if we go in with a mindset of don't do anything silly, those 5-yard passes, make sure they count. If you've got to hoof it over the stand, then hoof it over the stand. So I think the key to the result could be down to how well we sort of play the game and manage the game. And the other thing I think could be a factor is that actually, if you look at our bench is getting stronger. And if we've got a bench of Penny, Frost, Tetek, Paddy Gandor, and perhaps even Toby Nelson, then there are some options there to influence the game. And I think probably the biggest thing that we'll notice as a difference is that Coleman will be happy to change tactics, whereas obviously Tommy didn't. He always stayed with, whether we were 3-0 up or 3-0 down, he would stay with the same formation. Whereas I think with that flexibility on the bench, then I can see John Coleman doing something to affect the game if we need to. Woking, I don't think will come out. As Guy was saying, they don't score many, they don't concede many. I think they'll just sit in, and I think that will actually help us on the day. So score prediction 2-0 for me. 2-0 home win.
Lovely. And hopefully a controversial penalty thrown in for good measure. CJ, come to you. Your thoughts ahead of Saturday?
Tell you what, I'll snap your arm off for 2-0 right now. if we can score 2 goals and keep a clean sheet, I'll snap your arm off right now, Julian.
You just watch. It's going to happen, I tell you.
Hey, I hope you're right. I really do, because we need it. Like, we really need it. I said this when Coleman came in, and when Dowson took over, all roads lead to Woking. It literally, this was the pinnacle. We have to get a result out of this game, no matter what happens. But I also think Woking are going to be up for this as much as they've ever been up for it. After getting done in the semi-final and us going on to win it, I think it being at Aldershot, the fact we're so sapped on confidence at the moment. I think Neil Ardley's probably listening to this, trying to get some tips off us. I think all sorts of things are going to be I think they're going to be right up for it. I don't think they're going to sit in. I think they're just going to come at us, and I think it's going to be a backs to the wall job. And if we do win it, it'll be a counter-attacking game, and I think it will be us literally hitting them on the break once or twice with Ryan Jones or Ryan Hill, and then just putting balls in the box. But yeah, I really do think it'll be a backs to the wall job for us a bit. Um, I, I'm just hoping we get something out of it. We need a positive performance. I keep saying it, and they seem to be. I keep hearing this. They're getting better. They're getting better. The performances, but are they? We're still losing. We've lost to a Southern League side in this period. We've lost to a team in the league below in this period. Are the results actually are the performances getting better, or are the scorelines just looking better? That's the difference. And I think the other thing we need to speak about as well is the fact that Pat Nash now looks like our number one going forwards. That, I think that's an interesting factor as well. And I sort of mentioned it in the chat the other day about his distribution and stuff like that. And he started really well. He looked confident. The ball was flying into people's feet. I think he put one ball in. It was about a 40-yard driven ball low on the deck into, I think it was Kwame Thomas's feet. And it went between two players. I went, wow. And then the next couple, he sort of shanked off. And I was like, oh. But he hasn't really, in all fairness to him, put much of a foot wrong. He's made maybe a couple of interesting decisions where he's trying to take on strikers 1v1 and stuff like that. But apart from that, he looks pretty competent. Considering that this is his first real step at this league, and he's obviously a small stature and frame. I think anything that goes high sort of does make me nervous, but he is quite athletic. He gets around the goal. But I think Nightingale coming back, I keep mentioning him. He's probably one of my favourite players at the moment, just because he's probably better than everyone else. And it just makes a big difference having someone with so much experience and quality in front of him leading these young players. I think that's something we have missed, and that resoluteness to just go out and try and win. But yeah, I really, really hope we get something out of this. We really need to, because it's so bleak. It is so bleak at the moment, and I haven't felt this way about the club in a long time. Probably the Searle era, maybe Mosley as well, but definitely the Searle era, where we probably couldn't buy a win at the moment, and the results need to improve. And like we said before, whether it's one off the backside or anything, I don't care if Beautyman puts one in his own goal. I don't care if Jazz Galainen slips and throws it in his own net. As long as it goes in our way, it has to. Something has to fall in our favour. And the other thing I'm worried about as well is if Coleman doesn't start winning games, the pressure's going to come on top. You can talk about he needs his own signings all day long, but half of these players were FA Trophy winners last season. Half of these players are more than competent at this level. So, and how long do the players stick with this manager if he's not winning football matches and these ideas aren't sticking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that the podcast next week could go either way, with a loss or a win. I mean, to be honest, at this point, a draw is just a positive result. Not in the context of things, but in the context of things, not in the grand scheme of things. I'm just going to mention that the FA Trophy draw was today as we record. Eastleigh away again in the third round of the FA Trophy. A repeat of the 23-24 season. Shots came back from 2-0 down to draw, and then won on penalties. Jordi van Stappershoff, the hero in that game. I think he saved. Did he save 2 in the shootout or something? I think there was a lot of bad penalties in that shootout. So yeah, we'll come around to that. That's the 13th of December. I can just assume that all your thoughts are going to be boring draw, hate it, get us through to the fourth round without any injuries. So we'll leave it there. Thank you, Julian.
Can I just throw you a bit of a positive on the trophy? We're actually unbeaten for virtually 2 years in the FA Trophy.
Here we go.
So leave you with that thought.
Lovely stuff. And the National League Cup's coming back soon as well.
Yeah. Can I also say it is only a month away as well, so we've got time to turn things round.
Exactly. Well, at least we can wait one more month for a win, can't we?
So we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to make the playoffs, and we're going to win the FA Trophy again. Is this what I'm hearing?
You got it. You got it.
Something like that, yeah.
The delusions on this podcast, the delusions that we have.
We need it. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay.
Cheers,
Bye.
mate.